The stars were quiet in the outer rim of the Orion Arm, where few dared to travel. Most maps labeled the region as dead space. No colonies, no trade, just old wrecks and drifting rocks. But Commander James Walker wasn't looking for peace or profit. He was searching for something lost. His small exploration vessel, Prospector, glided silently between asteroid clusters. Inside, Walker stood at the front viewport, eyes locked on a massive shadow hidden behind a drifting ice field. "Bring us closer," he ordered. The co-pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Holden, adjusted the thrusters. As the fog of frozen debris thinned, the shadow came into full view. It wasn't a station or a ruin. It was a ship, a giant warship, dark gray, at least 5 kilometers long, floating silently in deep space. Its hull was ancient but intact. No scorch marks, no obvious damage, just dormant and waiting. Walker's heart pounded. There's no record of this ship, nothing in the human archives. No IFF signal. Holden looked uneasy. "Should we contact command?" Walker shook his head. "Not yet. Let's see it for ourselves." They docked at an external airlock. The door surprisingly responded to their codes. A low hum echoed as ancient systems awakened. Lights flickered. Cold air hissed. The interior was clean, preserved by automated systems. As they walked deeper inside, the crew discovered more signs of life. Robots in stasis, sealed armories, untouched crew quarters. Yet no one was on board. "This isn't just a relic," Holden whispered. "It's been hidden." They reached the bridge. A large control chair stood at the center, surrounded by dark monitors and a dormant AI core. The control panels were unfamiliar, but had human markings. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the chamber. "Biometric match confirmed. Commander James Walker, authorized." Lights snapped on. Consoles lit up in blue. The AI core glowed faintly. A soft feminine voice spoke again. "Designation Valkyrie. Last activation 212 years ago. Threat level, dormant. Status waiting for final command." Walker stared in disbelief. Why was this ship hidden? What was it waiting for? The AI replied. "Final activation required for full memory access. Warning, activation will trigger all systems, including weapons." Holden turned to him. "Sir, this might be a warship built for something we don't understand." Walker stepped forward. He placed his hand on the panel. "Then it's time we find out." The ship rumbled. Energy pulsed through the floor. Hidden thrusters came to life. Defense systems aligned. Deep in its core, something ancient and powerful stirred. Outside, in the cold silence of space, Valkyrie opened its eyes for the first time in over 2 centuries. Light years away, in the heart of the Krivar Dominion, a fleet gathered like a storm. Hundreds of warships, shaped like sharp blades and glowing with red energy, floated in perfect formation near a dead moon. They were preparing for the final phase of expansion, what the Krivar called the cleansing. In the central command ship, a dark, cold vessel, known as the Crucible, Supreme Strategist Vorax stood in silence. His tall frame was covered in silver armor, his 4 eyes glowing a dull orange. Unlike other Krivar, he showed no emotion, only calculation. A hologram flickered to life before him. "Lord Vorax," said a scout commander, bowing low, "we detected an unusual energy surge in Sector 47 Kappa. A human signal. Very old." Vorax tilted his head. "Human? You're sure?" "Yes, Supreme One. But it vanished, reappeared, then vanished again." Vorax's expression didn't change. "No human worlds remain in that sector." "Correct. Our archives show no resistance there, just dead space." Vorax turned to his war advisors. Then something was hidden. The Krivar had conquered dozens of galaxies. Their fleets were unmatched. They erased resistance swiftly, leaving nothing behind. But centuries ago, humans had vanished. No final battle, no surrender, just silence. Many believed they were extinct. Others believed they hid. Vorax never trusted silence. "Send a scout wing. Investigate the energy source. If it's human, destroy it. If not, erase it anyway." Yes, Supreme One. Back in Sector 47 Kappa, the Valkyrie was fully awake. Its engines now hummed softly. Lights glowed along every corridor. Walker stood on the bridge, staring at the status report. This ship, it's beyond anything we've ever built, he muttered. Lieutenant Holden pointed to a screen. It has quantum shielding, AI combat prediction, and a weapon system labeled Project Eclipse. It's classified even to the AI. Walker raised an eyebrow. Even to her. The AI Naira spoke from the central core. Her voice was calm and precise. Project Eclipse was sealed under last order protocols, only executable in critical threat conditions. Walker frowned. What kind of threat? Naira paused. An extinction-level force. Silence fell on the bridge. Before they could process it, a proximity alarm rang out. Unidentified vessels entering sensor range, Naira announced. On screen, 5 Krivar scout ships appeared. Sleek, fast, built for hunting. They moved in a tight formation, scanning the area. Do they know we're here? Holden asked. Not yet, Walker replied. They're searching. The crew moved quickly, activating stealth protocols. Valkyrie shifted into shadow mode, blending with surrounding space. The Krivar ships passed close, their sensors active. Then one ship broke formation. It moved toward a nearby asteroid field, right toward the Valkyrie's previous location. They're tracking the energy pulse from our reactivation, Walker said. Naira's voice sharpened. I recommend evasive action or first strike. Detection is imminent. Walker hesitated. Attacking would reveal their presence, but if they stayed passive, they risked being cornered. He gave the order. Target the lead scout. Disable only. A second later, a beam of light shot silently from the Valkyrie. The Krivar ship went dark, powerless, drifting. The other scouts reacted immediately, turning toward the hidden source. We're exposed, Holden said. They know we're here, Walker nodded. Let them come. The Krivar ships opened fire, but their weapons bounced off the Valkyrie's shields without effect. The human warship returned fire with precision. Within seconds, all 4 remaining scouts were destroyed. Walker stared at the screen. They'll report this. Naira confirmed it. A signal was sent just before destruction. The Krivar know a human ship exists. Holden looked at him. What do we do now? Walker didn't flinch. Now we prepare. Far across the stars, Supreme Strategist Vorax received the signal. His cold eyes narrowed. A human warship, still operational. Interesting. He turned to his generals. Mobilize the fleet. I want that ship reduced to atoms. The Valkyrie floated in deep space, silent again after the short, violent encounter. The wreckage of the Krivar scout ships drifted nearby, slowly freezing in the void. Commander James Walker stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the debris. His face was calm, but inside he knew what was coming next. The Krivar now had proof. Humanity had survived, and worse for them, they had strength. Damage report, he asked. Lieutenant Holden replied. No damage taken, shields held. Weapons systems at 92%. We didn't even scratch the surface of our capabilities. Because that was the easy part. Naira, the ship's AI, pulsed softly on the main screen. Based on the scout fleet's position and relay timing, we can expect a Krivar response fleet within 36 hours. How many ships? Estimate, 40. Minimum. Walker breathed out slowly. And we're 1. 1 is sufficient, Naira answered calmly. On board the Crucible, Supreme Strategist Vorax reviewed the feed recovered from the destroyed scouts. It showed a brief glimpse of the Valkyrie. A sleek but powerful silhouette, weapons charged, shields shimmering. Then, static. He turned to his officers. This ship is not a relic. It is a weapon. It must be studied before it is destroyed. A Krivar admiral hesitated. Supreme One, our doctrine says no mercy. Vorax raised a hand. I said studied, not spared. We will capture it. If it resists, we burn it down to atoms. The orders were given. 40 Krivar warships jumped into hyperspace, racing toward the human signal. Back on the Valkyrie, Walker sat in the command chair thinking. The bridge lights were dimmed. The hum of the ship filled the silence. Holden approached him. "You really think we can win?" Walker didn't answer right away. Then he looked at her. "No, but we can hurt them. And that's a start." The next day the Krivar fleet arrived. Dozens of red and black ships came out of warp in a sharp triangle formation. The largest, a dreadnought named Spine of Fire, took the lead. The Valkyrie's sensors lit up immediately. "Enemy fleet approaching," Naira said. "Weapons systems fully armed." "We are outnumbered." Walker stood. "Put me on comms." A moment later his voice echoed across open space. "To the Krivar fleet, this is Commander James Walker of the human ship Valkyrie. You are entering restricted space. Turn back now." Laughter came in response. A voice replied, cold and amused. "A single human ship dares speak to us. You are a fossil, not a threat." Walker smirked. "Then why are you bringing a whole fleet?" There was no answer. Instead, the Krivar dreadnought fired first. A beam of red plasma shot through the void. But it hit nothing. The Valkyrie had already moved. "Naira, engage full tactical mode," Walker ordered. The warship leapt forward, twisting through the fleet like a knife through cloth. Its weapons lit up bright blue arcs of energy slicing through shields and armor. In seconds 2 Krivar cruisers exploded. The Valkyrie danced between enemy ships, outmaneuvering them with speed no one expected. Every shot it fired was precise. Every strike was lethal, but it wasn't easy. "Shields at 61%, Naira warned. "We cannot hold this forever." Walker narrowed his eyes. "We don't need forever. We need enough." The ship cut through another wave, disabling 4 more cruisers. But then the Spine of Fire turned its massive guns on the Valkyrie. "Brace," Walker shouted. A massive impact rocked the ship. Systems flickered. Sparks flew across the bridge. "Minor hull breach on deck 3, Holden reported. "Damage is contained." Walker stood. "Target the dreadnought's main gun. Fire everything we have." The Valkyrie answered with fury. 3 powerful blasts slammed into the enemy dreadnought. One struck its core. A moment later a chain reaction tore through the massive ship, ripping it apart from within. The explosion lit up the dark space. The Krivar fleet froze. Their commander was gone. Their lead ship destroyed. Walker opened the comms again. His voice was calm, cold, and clear. "We are still here, and we are not afraid." The remaining Krivar ships turned and jumped away. Retreat. Silence returned to space. The Valkyrie, scarred but alive, hovered in the wreckage of a battle no one thought it could win. Walker sat back in his chair. That was just the beginning. Deep inside the Valkyrie, repair drones zipped through scorched corridors. Sparks danced from exposed panels. The air smelled like burnt metal. The ship had survived the Krivar fleet, but it hadn't escaped untouched. On the bridge, Commander Walker watched a holographic map of the region. Red markers showed incoming Krivar signals. "They weren't done yet. They're regrouping," he said quietly. "Next wave won't just attack. They'll come to destroy." Lieutenant Holden looked at the map. "They won't underestimate us this time." Walker nodded. "Which is why we won't fight them head-on." Naira's voice came through the main speaker. "Commander, based on enemy movement, we have less than 18 hours before full engagement." Walker stepped forward. "Naira, highlight asteroid clusters and radiation belts within a 200,000 kilometer radius." A new layout appeared. Fields of rock, electromagnetic storms, and gravity distortions. Walker pointed. "There. That's where we'll make our stand." Hours later, the Valkyrie moved into position within a dense asteroid field. Massive rocks spun slowly around them, shadows shifting as they drifted. The perfect place to hide, set traps, and control the fight. The crew worked fast. Small drones flew out to plant decoy beacons, mine-like explosives, and sensor jammers among the asteroids. Holden activated a hidden turret array. "All systems armed. Decoys are active. The field's full of echoes." Walker leaned back in his chair. "Let them walk into a maze." In deep space, Vorex stood aboard his new command ship, Talon of Dominion. He reviewed the data from the last battle, his expression unreadable. "This human ship," he said, "is not simply a weapon. It is strategy. It thinks. It adapts." One of his officers asked, "Should we request reinforcements?" Vorex shook his head. "No, we don't need more ships. We need better tactics." He ordered the fleet forward, into the same sector where the first group was destroyed. As the Kriver fleet entered the asteroid field, their sensors went blind. Multiple energy signatures, a Kriver pilot reported. Unclear how many targets. Could be dozens. They spread out cautiously. That's when the trap snapped shut. Hidden mines exploded in the dense field. A cruiser vanished in a flash. Another crashed into a cloaked asteroid, its hull torn open. Panic spread as ships began firing blindly, hitting rocks, decoys, and each other. In the chaos, the Valkyrie struck. It moved like a ghost between asteroids, its weapons firing in perfect sync with the traps. One by one, Kriver ships fell, ambushed, disoriented, and overwhelmed. On the Valkyrie's bridge, the crew worked in focused silence. "Two more down," Holden reported. "They can't get a lock on us." Naira's voice was steady. Enemy fleet strength reduced by 43%. Walker remained calm. "Keep pressure, no retreat." But the Kriver weren't done. Vorex, inside the Talon of Dominion, realized the trap. "Enough. Pull back the outer fleet. Bring in plasma waves." Massive cannons on the Talon fired into the asteroid field, breaking rocks apart and revealing hidden mines. Explosions lit the sky. The Valkyrie was forced to retreat from the edge of the field. Then, a powerful blast hit the Valkyrie's rear engine. The ship shook violently. Systems flickered. "We've got a breach in the rear section," Holden shouted. "Fire suppression online, losing secondary thrusters." Walker gritted his teeth. "Divert power to front shields. Pull us out of the collapsing zone." The Valkyrie pushed through the wreckage, emerging just beyond the asteroid field. It was damaged, but still deadly. The Kriver fleet, what remained of it, regrouped behind Vorex's flagship. On board the Talon, Vorex watched the Valkyrie from afar. "This is no ordinary enemy," he muttered. "This is the beginning of a war we didn't plan for." Later, as the Valkyrie drifted in a nearby moon's shadow for emergency repairs, the crew gathered on the bridge. Holden looked around. "We held them off again, but they'll come back with more." Walker stared at the stars ahead. "And we'll be ready. This isn't just defense anymore." He paused. "We're sending a message." Smoke drifted through parts of the Valkyrie's damaged interior. Drones worked non-stop, welding metal, restoring power lines, and sealing punctured decks. The warship was still alive, but only just. In the command chamber, Commander Walker stood in front of the main screen, staring at Earth's encrypted communication channel. He hadn't used it in years. Humanity had chosen silence, hiding in forgotten corners of the galaxy, watching the Krivar dominate system after system. But now, the silence had been broken. "Are you sure?" Lieutenant Holden asked quietly. "Once we send this message, there's no going back." Walker nodded. "They'll come, Holden. It's not about asking for help. It's about showing them what's at stake." He turned to Naira. "Patch me through. Secure relay." The AI confirmed. "Line open. Message ready." Walker faced the camera. His voice was steady, his eyes hard. "This is Commander James Walker, of the human warship Valkyrie. We have engaged and defeated multiple Krivar fleets in Sector 47 Kappa. Humanity is not extinct. We are not weak. We are not done. Earth, if you hear this, prepare." He paused, then added, "I don't ask for support. I ask that you remember who we are." The screen went dark. The message was sent. Far away, deep beneath the surface of Earth's hidden defense command, the message arrived. Generals and council leaders watched in silence. Walker's face flickered on the screen, scarred, tired, but defiant. Some whispered in shock. Others sat still. One general stood. Activate the scout fleet. Locate the Valkyrie. Quietly. The chair of the Earth Council leaned forward. The Krivar will come. The question is, do we stay hidden, or stand again? No one spoke. But the silence said enough. Back in space, the Krivar were preparing their final move. Inside the Talon of Dominion, Supreme Strategist Vorex reviewed his new strategy. No more ambushes. No more assumptions. This time, he said, we crush them with overwhelming force. A full-scale war fleet had been summoned. 80 warships, 3 dreadnoughts, and a planetary-class siege vessel. It was the largest force the Krivar had sent in over a century. Vorex would lead them personally. On board the Valkyrie, repairs were nearly complete. But time was running out. Nyra's sensors lit up. Massive energy spike detected. Enemy fleet inbound. Arrival in 2 hours. Walker stood calmly. They're not coming to fight. They're coming to erase. Holden looked over a new blueprint. We've been modifying the fusion drives. It's risky, but we can boost our weapons to full capacity for a short time. Do it, Walker said. We'll make our stand here. As the Krivar fleet entered the system, their presence blotted out nearby stars. Dozens of ships spread across space in tight formation. They moved like a machine. No hesitation, no mercy. At the center, the Talon of Dominion powered its siege cannon. On the Valkyrie, final systems came online. Shields at full, weapons charged. Nyra announced. Walker took his place in the command seat. Let's remind them why they fear us. The battle began. The Valkyrie fired first, launching precision strikes into the heart of the Krivar fleet. Explosions lit up the dark. But this time the enemy didn't scatter. They pressed forward, surrounding the warship from all sides. The Valkyrie twisted through the formation, cutting down cruisers, avoiding direct hits. But it couldn't dodge everything. A heavy blast struck its side, shaking the entire ship. Deck 5 is breached. Holden shouted. We're losing pressure. Walker didn't blink. Seal it off. Focus fire on their command vessel. Nyra's voice changed. Commander, their lead ship is aligning its primary weapon. Suggest immediate counterstrike. Walker gave the order. Target their core. All power to the main cannon. The Valkyrie's forward section opened. A beam of brilliant blue light surged out, punching through the Krivar flagship's armor. On the Talon, Vorex stood calmly as alarms blared. Brace for impact. Seconds later, fire consumed his ship. The Krivar command vessel exploded. Without Vorex, the remaining Krivar ships hesitated. Confusion spread. Some pulled back. Others continued firing blindly. Walker watched the chaos unfold. We've cut off their head, he said. But we're not done yet. The Valkyrie, battered and burning, drifted through a field of broken Krivar ships. The fight was not over, but it had changed. Earth had heard the message. The galaxy had seen the truth, and the Krivar had felt fear, for the first time in centuries. The battlefield was silent. Wreckage floated around the Valkyrie, burning Krivar cruisers, shattered drones, and broken armor. The stars above flickered like candles behind smoke. The warship was barely holding together, but it was still standing. Inside the ship, the crew worked quickly. Fires had been put out. Emergency bulkheads sealed damaged areas. The AI, Nyra, rerouted power through secondary lines to keep the core systems alive. Commander Walker sat quietly in the command chair, his uniform torn, one arm in a sling. His face was marked with cuts and ash, but his eyes were focused. Status, he asked. Lieutenant Holden replied from her station. Main cannon offline. Shields at 12%. Engines down to 40%. Life support stable. Nyra added. Enemy fleet is retreating. Krivar communications are in chaos. There is no unified command left. Walker nodded slowly. Then now is the time. He stood despite the pain, and walked to the central control panel. Nyra, patch me into all open galactic frequencies. Civilian, military, trade, all of it. Channel open, the AI confirmed. Walker stared at the screen. Then he began to speak. "This is Commander James Walker of the human warship Valkyrie. We have just survived an assault by the largest Krivar fleet in history. They came to erase us. They failed." He paused for a moment. "For years humanity stayed silent. We watched. We waited. While the Krivar crushed worlds, silenced empires, and ruled through fear, we built in the shadows. Not for revenge, but for survival. For this moment." He looked directly into the camera. "To every world out there still under Krivar control, know this. They are not invincible. They can be fought. They can be broken." He stepped back. "We are humanity. We remember everything, and we are back." Naira ended the transmission. Across the galaxy, the message spread like wildfire. On distant mining colonies, workers stopped to listen. On enslaved planets, hope flickered for the first time in generations. In hidden rebel outposts, cheers echoed through dusty halls. Even neutral races who once feared involvement began to take notice. And within the Krivar dominion, panic, without Vorex. Their fleets became disorganized. Commanders argued. Some defected. Others fled. For the first time, their long chain of dominance had a crack. Back on the Valkyrie, silence filled the bridge. Then a soft beep. Naira spoke. "Incoming signal. Earth scout fleet arriving in system. 12 ships, human-coded." Holden's eyes widened. "They came." Walker smiled faintly. "Of course they did." On the main screen, the scout fleet dropped out of warp. Sleek and modern, they surrounded the damaged Valkyrie with protective formation. A voice came through the comms. "Commander Walker, this is Captain Rhodes of the Earth Recon Fleet. We received your message. You've just reignited the fire." Walker stepped forward. "Welcome back." Later, with repairs underway, and the Valkyrie docked with support ships, Walker walked alone through a quiet corridor. Naira's voice followed him softly through the speakers. "You knew the risk. You could have run." Walker looked out a small window into space. "If we had run, we'd still be hiding. But someone had to stand. Someone had to remind them who we are." He paused. This ship wasn't just a weapon. It was a promise. Naira's voice was quiet. "And now." Walker's voice was calm. "Now we finish what they started." The final shot was of the Valkyrie, repaired and refueled, leading a new human fleet into deep space. Its engines burned bright. Its hull gleamed once again. On its side a single word had been painted. "Remember."